my drum teacher, we're all on the stage. He turns to the whole auditorium, he faces the whole auditorium and goes, "Jamie, stop." And all the lights, every light just goes right back on normal.
Every night he'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and find a girl, a little tiny girl, probably 6 years old, sitting in the corner of his room looking at him, huddled up.
One step into the room and it almost felt like I was on a roller coaster. It felt like something hit me, but I was on a roller coaster going down, and it actually pushed me back out of the room.
And all the lights were off except for one light, and inside that window was a silhouette, perfect silhouette of the side of a guy's face in profile.
She said it folded in half. Whatever this thing was folded in half and it just disappeared.
And there I see is a woman with a red shirt, black hair, and just disappeared.
Next day I found a picture of them, and behind them, where I would have been, were two stone angels.
It becomes relatively evident when we talk to people that everyone has a ghost story. If it's not theirs, it's a friend's story or a friend of a friend's story. In any event, it seems to be one of those almost taboo topics which everyone is aware of, but hardly anyone is willing to admit to. There have been a multitude of documentaries which try to explain this phenomenon, or perhaps more accurately explain this phenomenon away. But for the sake of this argument, let's start from the ground up.
Well, I would prefer to use the term spirit because I'm not sure that I would be able to identify what a ghost is. But I believe that there's spirit in the world, and I've certainly had many people tell me stories about having encountered a ghost or ghost experience, and I see no reason to doubt what they say. I mean, if for them it's a real experience, then that's fine. But I think that when people die, their spirit lives on somehow in a way that I'm not sure I clearly understand or need to. But I believe the spirit of that person is alive and well. Now, some might want to call that the ghost of Susie Jones or whatever. I choose not to call it a ghost, but I think that spirit interacts with this world, and again in ways I'm not sure I understand. I would term it a spiritual level. I think there's communication. To me, that's some sort of interaction between the worlds, if you will. And for me, it's a comforting thought.
So we already have a couple of theories emerging here. There's a spiritual theory, a much more religious side of the matter than we intend to delve into, and the dead returning from the grave theory, which in all likelihood is the image conjured up when the word ghost is used. But enough of this for now. Our team is going to get down and dirty. They're going to go on a real live ghost hunt. So, they packed their bags, made a short trek southwest of their current location, and 6.5 hours later, they've made the 2-hour journey. A quick phone call, and another 5 minutes in the car, and they're talking to this man, Mr. Harry Barrett, who related to them some interesting tidbits of information, which gets them all well on the way.
Well, there are rumors rampant that when these cottages were being used and looked much better than they do today, a party were having a bonfire, and unfortunately the fire got a bit out of hand and a little boy was burned to death. I remember the day very well because suddenly there was just black smoke pouring through the yard here, and we didn't know what was on fire. Since that time, some people believe that his ghost returns and his screams are heard in the area. This is just grown into a sort of folklore about the place.
That was pretty much enough for this crew. In fact, they wasted very little time. They went there just a few hours after this interview finished, right about the time that everything started to get a little dark and perhaps a little fuzzy. So lads and lasses, get your crowbars and your safety glasses on and let's take a peek at how 4 amateurs take on a ghost hunt. A brief introduction to the key players here may be in order before we proceed. This is Simona Anelti. She's a hardcore believer in ghosts, and quite frankly will stop at nothing to catch one. Next is Mark Ryerson. He's the skeptic of the bunch, but he's trying to keep his mind open to possibility. Then there's Jennifer File, and lastly Thomas Pope. They're kind of the spearheads of this project, and as such, we'll try to play the controls So after leaving no house unentered or stone unturned, the crew decides they've had enough. They decided ghosts be damned. It was far more important to get their 3 hours sleep than continue on this wild goose chase. So everyone was a little disappointed. The crew was really hoping to see a little ghost boy at this place, or hear him, or something. There's a bit of a confession that needs to be brought public.
I really don't know a great deal about it, but Mr. Crotto used to own the cottages, and they were rented out. He maintained them, and it was quite a nice little spot. But something happened to him, and since that time they've just been abandoned, it seems, and gone downhill, and I really don't know. I think the absentee owners, people have wanted to buy and develop it, but for some reason they're not able to make a sale.
Yes, you've all heard correctly. This place wasn't haunted to begin with. Tom, Jen, and even Mr. Barrett, you little devil you, were all in on the joke. Though, perhaps joke is a harsh word which does not accurately reflect what is going on here. Remember our brief discussion of the theories of ghosts? There's another theory, and it's a personal favorite. It's the theory that a living person can project a ghost. That is, some energy within the living body can be expelled out, and in some sense, become what would be considered to be a ghost.
People who deal with the body say this is a physical thing. I know there's a lot of electricity in our bodies because I've studied psychology, and to make my hands move, I have to have electrical impulses that release the chemicals that make the nerves work. And I feel we do not account for it. We don't understand it. Parapsychologists understand it. There's a power that we don't. This power that we don't tap into is very. Some people do tap into it. They can bend spoons just by using mental processes, and they can move objects. And I believe that this power that's released from our bodies, we haven't yet understood it. And I think it's a power within ourselves that we can project outwards.
And if you think about it, it might not be that far-fetched. Most people we talk to are more than willing to admit there is something other than the body to our existence. Some energy within us, which is freed when we die, whether that be a ghost, a spirit, whatever. For the sake of this argument, it makes no difference. If we keep this unknown energy in mind, who is to say that it can't escape even for a fleeting moment while we are still alive?
As far as the concept that a person can project or create their own spirit or even the spirit of somebody else, I don't think that is a theory that should be dismissed. I am never going to say that this is the only thing that causes some kind of spirit activity, but I will say that I think it would be absurd in my mind to completely dismiss it.
Okay, well, I don't know if I truly agree with this theory. To me, ghost is something that, it's like a spirit, I guess. Somebody dies and then the spirit leaves the body and then you have a ghost.
I was taking photographs all night long and it's like, ooh, I found a ghost dot, but I'm still not convinced they're actually ghost dots. It's probably just some sort of insect or dust on the camera lens.
It had a little bit of a creepy vibe to it, just because we don't actually know the real history for it.
So what did we prove by going into these woods? Nothing. And that's kind of the point. This is a subject that we'll probably never have an answer to until it's too late to tell the rest of us. And what did we get out of this experience? Well, we got a couple of unexplained noises, a bunch of pictures of orbs, and this thing that looks like a face if you kind of squint at it. Maybe these are ghosts. Maybe we accidentally created them ourselves. Or maybe they're nothing at all. But it's enough to reaffirm belief in the believers. Not enough to convince the skeptics. And maybe just enough to raise a few questions in the rest of us.